The intricate dynamics of cross-border smuggling between Canada and the United States reveal a stark contrast in the flow of illegal substances and firearms. Notably, the amount of fentanyl that crosses from Canada into the U.S. represents a mere 1% of the total fentanyl seized in the country. This statistic is significant, as it highlights the relatively minor role Canada plays in supplying this potent opioid to the American market. Fentanyl, a synthetic opioid that is 50 to 100 times more powerful than morphine, has been at the center of an ongoing public health crisis in the United States. The overwhelming majority of fentanyl consumed in the U.S. is sourced from other international channels, primarily through Mexican drug cartels that manufacture the drug using precursors often obtained from China. In contrast, the issue of illegal firearms entering Canada from the United States paints a different picture. A staggering 90% of the firearms that are illegally smuggled into Canada originate from the U.S. This statistic likely does not surprise many Canadians, as the accessibility of firearms in the United States is significantly higher than in Canada, where strict gun control laws govern the purchase and ownership of weapons. For instance, a Canadian cannot simply walk into a local hardware store and purchase a handgun, such as a Glock, without undergoing a rigorous application process, which includes background checks, safety training, and waiting periods. This stark difference in gun laws leads to a situation where illegal trafficking of firearms becomes a pressing issue for Canadian law enforcement. The disparity between the flow of fentanyl and firearms across the border raises important questions about the effectiveness of border security and the policies in place to combat these issues. On the one hand, the low percentage of fentanyl coming from Canada suggests that U.S. authorities may need to focus their efforts on other sources of supply, particularly those linked to Mexican cartels. On the other hand, the high percentage of firearms smuggled into Canada indicates a significant challenge for Canadian authorities, who must navigate the complexities of cross-border crime and the pressures of public safety. Understanding the factors that contribute to these patterns requires a deeper examination of the socio-economic conditions in both countries. In the United States, the opioid epidemic has been fueled by a combination of overprescription of painkillers, lack of access to treatment for addiction, and the influx of potent synthetic opioids like fentanyl. As a result, the demand for these drugs remains high, leading to a flourishing black market. Cartels are adept at circumventing law enforcement efforts, using sophisticated methods to transport drugs across borders. Conversely, the prevalence of gun violence and mass shootings in the United States has sparked intense debates about gun control and the Second Amendment. The juxtaposition of high rates of gun ownership with the significant flow of illegal firearms into Canada highlights a broader cultural attitude towards guns in the U.S. Many Americans view gun ownership as a fundamental right, deeply ingrained in their national identity. This cultural perspective complicates efforts to implement stricter gun control measures and creates challenges for Canadian authorities striving to protect their citizens from the ramifications of gun violence. The implications of these statistics extend beyond mere numbers. They reflect the broader challenges faced by both nations in addressing public health and safety issues. The opioid crisis in the U.S. has resulted in devastating consequences, including skyrocketing overdose rates and increased strain on healthcare systems. In response, various initiatives have emerged, focusing on harm reduction, treatment, and prevention. However, these measures require significant resources and coordination between federal, state, and local governments, as well as collaboration with international partners. Meanwhile, Canada grapples with its own set of challenges related to gun violence. The influx of illegal firearms contributes to a rise in gang-related violence, with serious implications for public safety. Canadian law enforcement agencies are tasked with addressing this issue through various strategies, including intelligence sharing with U.S. agencies, increased border patrols, and community outreach programs aimed at reducing gang involvement. However, the effectiveness of these measures is often hampered by the sheer volume of firearms available in the U.S. market. Moreover, the relationship between Canada and the United States is influenced by historical, political, and economic factors that shape their approach to border security and crime prevention. The two nations share the longest undefended border in the world, which presents unique challenges in terms of surveillance and enforcement. While both countries have made strides in enhancing border security, the sheer length of the border, combined with the persistent demand for illegal drugs and firearms, makes complete prevention nearly impossible. In recent years, both governments have recognized the need for a collaborative approach to address these issues. Initiatives such as the Beyond the Border Action Plan aim to improve security and economic cooperation between Canada and the U.S., focusing on shared challenges such as drug trafficking and firearm smuggling. By fostering stronger ties and information-sharing mechanisms, both nations hope to create a safer environment for their citizens. Ultimately, the statistics surrounding fentanyl and firearms serve as a reminder of the interconnectedness of global issues. The fight against drug trafficking and gun violence requires a multifaceted approach that considers not only law enforcement, but also social determinants of health, economic opportunities, and community engagement. Addressing the opioid crisis in the U.S. and the challenges of illegal firearms in Canada necessitates a commitment to understanding the complexities of these issues and working collaboratively across borders. In conclusion, the stark contrast between the flow of fentanyl and firearms between Canada and the United States underscores the multifaceted nature of cross-border crime. While Canada plays a limited role in the supply of fentanyl, the significant influx of illegal firearms poses serious challenges to public safety. Understanding the underlying factors that contribute to these patterns is crucial for developing effective strategies to combat these issues. As both nations navigate the complexities of border security and crime prevention, a collaborative approach that prioritizes public health and safety will be essential in addressing the challenges of today and building a safer future for all citizens.